link.
Got it.
All right, folks, we are live. We are live here on Facebook and also YouTube. I want to welcome everybody to the show. If you're not familiar with the show, this is Conversations with TopDonn. It's our weekly Thursday event, though we've been off for a couple of weeks. Tulikuwa nje mashughuli kiasi kiasi. Today, we are going to be talking about a huge announcement that happened this past week, and that concerns the Billboard AfroBeat chart. So, you're in the place to mefika sahi. Big things going on. On today's panel, very glad to have two of my very good friends. Top right-hand corner, Mr. Mike Wanguhu. Karibu, Mike.
Again. What's it?
Again.
I know, right?
Again.
Appreciate, man.
Very, very, very welcome. Bottom column peke yake is the man himself, Mr. True Story, Mr. Nilikwambia Niaje, the man from the Bay Area representing. I'm glad you're here, although it was very last minute, Slim, but I'm glad you're here.
Honestly, the timing was perfect.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks to Mike. Thanks to Mike for that call. That was quick.
Fantastic.
Thanks for coming through.
Na mumeva True Story, mi ndo sikupewa t-shirt. I mean, I feel really left out, man.
As we feel left out, we don't have an aphrodisiac t-shirt, and that this thing has been there for how many years, Mike?
Like 10 plus.
Never even got an invite to play or even just have it.
Yeah. Unachoma. Tumeanza tu show na unachoma. Yani immediately.
This one is said, yes, I'll be there.
Yeah. The show has just begun na unachoma immediately. Hey, maiye. Tunasema maiye.
Yeah.
But it's all good, man. It is definitely all good. So we're here. We usually have our 1 hour. We'll try to go in sequence, as fluidly as we can. But this week, guys, if you're not familiar, so for those who might not be very familiar with what is happening, this week has been really big for Afrobeats, as a genre, and also African music as a whole. Came the announcement on Tuesday morning from a Billboard SVP of Charts and Development that Afrobeats itself is now going to be an officially recognized genre on its own on the Billboard charts and have its own chart. I mean, makofi kwao, makofi kwetu. I mean, everybody who's been involved in getting Afrobeats to this place. I mean, I sat there. I've just put it on there as well right now if you've not seen that announcement. I sat there stunned for probably about 10 minutes. The first person I texted was Mike. I was like, hey, dude, have you seen this announcement, man? He's like, yeah, this is really, really, really major, man, really major. So initial thoughts, Mike, what were your initial thoughts when you saw this?
Honestly, I did get goosebumps and I was like, oh shit, it's happening type of thing. I was like, oh man, this is a long time coming. And then, I just took a moment and I'm like, well, I get it. But then it started sinking in and I'm like, okay, I see this. Okay, let's count this as a win for Africa. Because I'm always thinking as African first, right? Living out here, you kind of see it like that, And yes, we've been pushing for African music to be known, but then I think it petered quickly. So I'm celebrating, but I'm like, man, Afrobeats? Because I've had conversations with people in the industry on some of the projects that we're working on, and these conversations come up where you talk to people from the West Africa, they don't mind Afrobeats. You talk to anybody else outside of that region, they're like, what about us? So that's now where we have to find that harmony of how this is going to work for us. But overall, this is a big win for Africans in the diaspora, right? Africans in Stato. UK already had theirs, I think, last year, right? They already had a UK charts last year. So this is big for us, So, those are my first, thoughts right now. It's a big look for Africa. Very, very massive, big look for West Africans, especially Niger guys. But for the rest of Africa, we still have to do some work. We have to figure out how we have to be okay with that being the name and keep pushing type of thing.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to that being the umbrella name because that honestly is what has generated the biggest, well, not controversy. It's just an actual factual finding, as in the name itself. As much as we are so excited for this to happen, the naming, I think is could be a little bit problematic, but we'll get there. Slim Karibu, it's your first time here.
Yeah,
Initial thoughts on the announcement.
I think for me, once I heard, was it Davido? The first time in the Bay Area, I had Davido on radio. So I was like, okay, I think that was a year and a half ago, or 2 years before the pandemic. And after that, I knew this was coming. So it wasn't as a surprise per se. I saw it coming, but also being in the nightlife every Saturday, and then traveling around, you hear Afrobeats everywhere. So I knew it was just about time. Did I think it was late? I think it was late. I think it should have happened way back when, when Bracket was here, right? Right.
Square.
But also there's that thing of, oh wow, we don't own this anymore. It's gone. Like that fact. And that was to me was a reality when Bana Boy, he had come out and he was out here in LA, and somebody was trying to sell us that show for that cheap. We were like, we'll wait until next year. At that point, Ye came out. Ye came out. When Ye came out, the next thing, concerts are being done. When you start seeing concerts being done on a Thursday, you don't own that. You don't own that anymore. Africans, we do them on Saturday, not even Friday, on Saturday, right?
Different neighborhood right there.
Yeah, he just makes a whole different ballpark, right? So for me, it was an element of surprise, but not a surprise. It was already like it's here. It's just the fact like, oh, it's not your baby anymore. It's gone. Yeah, but it's a good thing. I think it's a beautiful thing for Africa. I think it's gonna open tons of opportunity in the corporate world, music world. I see a lot of executives coming out of this, right, from Africa. I see a lot of that. I see a lot of DJs in the industry, event planners becoming like blossoming out of a whole big, right? Can you imagine going to a Google event? It's organized by an African event planner, but also it's all Afrobeats. That was the same thing we see in reggaeton world, right? I see it's gonna be an endless opportunity for everybody who's in the industry.
Yep.
I couldn't agree more, Slim. That to me is what made me the most excited because, I mean, you've explained it perfectly in terms of the doors it's going to open up, but it also kind of validated a lot of stuff. People like yourself who were on the ground floor when this Afrobeats thing started going, started happening, is that, it validated a lot of the work you've put in terms of putting this out. I mean, we were having the discussion earlier and you were like, hey, you used to be at the club and you would play an African song and the owner would be like, yo, no, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
But now I'm sure the same club owner is the one promoting a show that has quote unquote is Afrobeats on it,
And that's why.
So it's the ownership level. Yes, it's great, but you bring up a really good point. The ownership of the genre in itself seems
Yeah.
to be kind of dissipating from the people who, the actual gatekeepers and holders of it, or people who really made it happen. So, I mean, any further thoughts on that particular topic?
On that topic, I think I smile, Mike, and I'm walking around Oakland, and people would stop me. I was like, man, you see how the music you used to play? You see how it's blown? And you would play for us this music. These are radio DJs, big time radio DJs here in the Bay Area.
Yep.
You see now you got it and everything. But on the other hand, I'm like, okay, yeah, I did, but I'm not even aligned now to when you see like the Afro Nations now, right? I'm looking there, I'm like, wait, right? There was actually the one that really hit me in the head is the one that happened in the Bay Area, Lost in Rhythm.
Ooh, yeah.
Lost
Sacramento,
in
yeah.
Rhythm was in my backyard, but not even me, right? Other DJs who are doing Afrobeats, none of us got the phone call, none, like zero, right? And the more I try to research, I'm like, who did even this event? Like, who put together this concert to even forget the key DJs in this area, right? So to me,
Afro Nation.
yeah, it's a sweet in the sense of like, wow, I was the first one to even I feel and I tell people in the mainstream nightlife in Oakland and San Francisco, I was the first one to do Afrobeats, right? I used to get in trouble doing Afrobeats, and how I won that is I would bring so many Africans, so it would overwhelm the people because like, okay, people are dancing, people are not, right? So I think it's just the love and hate relationship now with that. That's where
Yeah. I mean,
you know.
yeah, I feel you, but I mean, if you think about it again, for me, I'm always having that lens of Africa, right?
Mhm.
I totally everything you've said. I know that pain. We've been there. We've been pushing this, for a minute. Like I was telling you earlier, it's guys like you. You're like the radios for the African community, niche-based communities, right? All the DJs, they used to play that role before KML picked up, before urban radio picked up, and all that. It's people used to rely on what's new from what the DJ is playing, the mixtapes, the
Absolutely.
what, all that stuff. So I feel your pain when something like Lost Rhythm came to the Bay, and you guys were not involved, and you're the guys who run here. So that to me is now the corporate mentality of this industry being taken over by people who are just about the bottom line, and then they forget to build and continue building the culture. So I think that's what we need to do now, is to make sure that we don't lose track of what's happening, and we actually step on the gas a little bit more, because we have lessons from the past. Don, I keep telling you this about the Canaan story, right? When Canaan came out with waving flag back in the day when World Cup was going to Africa, right?
Yeah.
Like Coca-Cola put $300 million behind that. That was a $300 million marketing budget, right? He went around the world waving flag. A guy from Somali, obviously is African. So you'd have thought that Africa could have just now come through the door and run and all that, but we were not ready, But at the time too, there was P Square, all those guys were out there, right? We still had music from Africa.
Yeah.
But none of that music latched onto that momentum, that movement, that train to take off, right? And this is a 300 million marketing budget around the world. So now we've worked harder. We went back to the grassroots over the years. All the things that people have been doing in the corners and all that. We can't take away things like when P Square came to do songs with Rick Ross, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we take all those as wins to down the line where we get Chris Brown chasing Davido, or rather, paying it back, doing a song with Davido, and also singing in African languages. So it's like in the beginning we're chasing that for credibility, and then afterwards they're like, "Yo, this culture is dope. Let me jump on it." Right? So today you look at these guys; they're doing songs. They're not begging. Those guys are willing to be part of it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing where the rest of Africans, the rest of the African music, speaking about Kenyans, we're Kenyans here.
Yeah.
Our East African brothers, we need to learn from those things. We need to be quick about adapting and figuring out, okay, this is how this game is played. Okay, let's figure it out. How do we get a collab with a hottest guy from Nigeria now? Because I don't have to come to New York. They've done that, right?
Yeah.
But Afrobeat is here, right? Afrobeat is not going anywhere right now. You see, it's going to be here for a minute. Okay, so if a guy from Zimbabwe wants to blow up, this is the time now you come in and figure out how to ride onto this thing with this genre, this name, and then open your doors like that. Because now they're listening, So those are the lessons where I think I'm hoping guys like, you guys especially who are in the front playing this music, keep encouraging people to do all that. For me, it's just more like, just continue building that culture, celebrating that culture, video, capturing all those moments, putting it out there, because that's how we build that momentum in our culture,
Absolutely.
So,
You mentioned something important, Mike. So I'll give an example here, because you're talking about like a guy from Zimbabwe, for example. So the fact that the chart is called an Afrobeats chart, though I looked at the comments actually both on the Afro Nation Instagram page as well as the official announcement on Billboard, right? So they had a partnership on Instagram. So the Billboard feed was the same feed that the Afro Nation feed was. There were probably about 700 comments on there. I want to say about a quarter of the comments were, hey, we think the putting all of this African music under this moniker is going to be problematic because, we don't know what it's going to be. And, the more I thought about it the last couple of days, I had even specific examples. So let's take 2 years ago, right? Biggest song, not just in the African circles, one of the biggest songs in the entire world. It had 500 million plays on YouTube alone, right? Was Jerusalema, right?
Yes.
How would that song appear on an Afrobeats chart? Or is it we in the industry who are too concerned with labels and genres? Your regular Jungu, Hajui, he just knows
Yeah.
I'm grooving to this song as African.
Hey, man.
So that in itself is very problematic, at least for me. What are your thoughts?
I'll have Mike go first, actually.
I was just gonna say first, just to answer you quickly. I was gonna say sometimes ignorance is bliss, man. Right? We get too detailed right now. It's too early to break it down right now. We just got this win. Let's ride it. It's too soon right now to start crying. Oh, what about Kwaito? What about Kapuka? What about Genge? What about Bongo Flavor? Let's curate the sound until it comes to us, right? Because it's unique. Like Swahili music is amazing, right? We just we don't have a chance yet. We have not showcased that music yet, but that moment is coming. That's what I feel, right? Because everything is a wave. Right now, I'm looking at it like this big rock called Africa has just come in, and now we're going to start shipping into it, right? And then opening all those doors and start going in. And then you discover, oh, there's that. Come on, like right now, we're discovering Amapiano, right? You see, the people who are hip to Amapiano, they're already cool with Jerusalem because Bana Boy introduced them to that. See what I'm saying? So that's why to them, it's like, oh, okay, I don't mind that because I'm already dancing to Afrobeats with Bana Boy, right? Jerusalem comes along, and then it's the same music, same type of beat and all those things. Then guess what? Those are different doors in this big bubble of Afrobeat. So that's how we need to look at it. We shouldn't worry about that. I think if you look at the market too, right? It's easier to market something with one name as opposed to, can you imagine putting that in a flyer? I'm playing tonight, there's hip hop, R&B, Kwaito, Kapuka, Genge, what? No, just put one name there that everybody gets it and it's already paid for. The industry knows it. Just keep it moving. Then once you get there, you start now as a DJ. Then now you start giving guys a flavor of, let's go to West Africa. And to me, that's how we need to move the culture. Let people. So now we already have their ear. So now let's now completely educate them. Let's now go in and say, the first session of the night, I'm playing West African. Now we're going to East Africa. Now we're going to South Africa. I think that can work, because everybody has a playlist.
You'll be so surprised. I don't know, Don, if you've seen this. I'm seeing flyer now that says AfroBeats / Amapiano. Am I lying or not? I swear.
No, dude. Not only that. It's those same club owners that used to say, "What are you playing?" are the ones who have put that flyer out.
Now, especially in San Francisco, I'm seeing in the Bay Area, I'm seeing Afrobeats, and then you know how the next genre, Amapiano. Now I don't see dancehall, Caribbean. Now hip hop, Afrobeats, Amapiano, and then reggaeton.
So is that swallowed under Afrobeats?
So I was gonna answer to your question, Don. Before I get to that, I was gonna say this. I think right now we've gone through phases, and I look at Jamaica and I say, this is the perfect example of what we're going through right now, right? And the perfect example is, at some point there used to be, that's Jamaican music, and then it came to reggae music. Does that make sense? And then it came to ragamuffin. There are people, if you tell them ragamuffin, they have no idea. But when you say the word dancehall, we're like, yeah, that's the Jamaican stuff, right? Does that make sense? But now if you look at it, everybody now calls it a Caribbean vibe. Nobody knows it's soccer. Nobody knows. I think that's where we were with Afrobeats, right? But now deep down, only niche communities know this is Trini music. This is Haitian music. This is compa. This is, right? For us, outside of, I can only imagine trying to ask somebody from Ghana, do you know what gengeton is? They'll look at me like, oh, no. Right? But so it's easy for us to fall just under that umbrella of Afrobeats and keep on pushing with it and hoping that the collabos will kind of bring an awareness to this other side of East Africa that is super huge. So to your answer, I think it's just to be Afrobeat and all the way through. The only thing I'm seeing, Amapiano is going to come and throw off a lot of things. Right?
It already has.
It already has. On top of that, there's an excitement about Amapiano that I feel. Because Mike, I've asked you this before. Do you feel like Afrobeat is gonna get to a point it's like reggaeton? And then you remember at one point reggaeton just kind of got stale, right? I was so worried about Afrobeats of that. But when we hit Amapiano, I'm like, okay, this has come to save us and has come to also open doors in a whole different, because this is more like an EDM vibe. It's a very house, right? It's open doors in a whole different place. And the reason why I'm saying that, because we just did Amaphorisa show on Sunday. So I was there virtually. I wasn't there, but I was part of the organizing team, right? But also I was being told the shock in these venues, like, what's this house music people are listening to? And where did all these young people come from, right? That tells you, and it was a very high-end venue in San Francisco called the Midway. So they do all like the EDM stuff there. But that tells you how Amapiano is a whole different breed that might interrupt this whole Afrobeat name.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, Maforisa is here tonight. As soon as I get done with the
You
show,
guys hear
that's
me?
where I'm headed. I'm going down to the promontory. But yeah, time is moving really quickly already. It's crazy when you're having fun. So, in case you're just joining us, this is Conversations with TopDonn. We are joined by Mike Wanguhu as well as Mr. DJ Slim, all the way from California. I want to put up a couple of comments here that we got. So, one here from Leo Fire. Leo says, "This is the beginning of representation. That is all." Agreed, Leo. By the way, Leo, we need you on the show at some point here. Mr. Lawrence Asaba, my Ugandan brother, says we need to promote our music even in the most unique areas because our music comes with culture. We also need to team up as music promoters, DJs, and producers. That's his 2 cents. I have another comment here from Mr. Ali Badawi from DC. Ali says, TopDonn, why are we not thinking about building our own African billboards such that it does not matter what the American billboard does or does not do? And that's a great point, and actually a point for another show that we actually should get to. But moving forward, let me bring up the actual flyer that has this, because a lot of people don't know me. The people here on the panel kind of know the people behind the chart itself. So if I bring it up here, it tells you this Billboard chart is going to be done in conjunction with Afro Nation. So right now, I think us 3 people here are the only ones who didn't go to Puerto Rico for the Afro Nation Festival. Everybody else I know is in Puerto Rico. I'm surprised there are people watching actually.
Yeah.
I think Michael brought it up a little bit earlier, is if you look at the movers and shakers of what is happening right now, and Slim, you touched on it a little bit earlier as well, in that shows can come to your background. Lost in Rhythm came to your background. And when you were saying that you were the founder of the Afrobeat scene in SF, you're not just saying that because that's just a fact.
And I say it's not even the founder, it was more the first person to play Afrobeats at the mainstream clubs. Afrobeat was not being played at the mainstream clubs. I was the first one to play them at the mainstream clubs. That one I know for sure, right? When I came here.
There you go. So if you look at the moves being made, so you have this one with Afro Nation. If you're not familiar, some people may not know, it's big money, big festival money, Lollapalooza type money, right? That's gone into that, and they have then partnered with the Billboard to go ahead and do whatever they're doing right now on the chart. You look at things going around. I spoke to I was telling Mike earlier about the Headies Award is coming from Lagos. It's going to be held in Atlanta. Even other awards that happen, like the Afrima Awards that happens in Dallas, right? That's run by Big A. Again, that's actually big money involved in here. So sometimes I feel that our brothers from Nigeria get a little bit of a bad rap because they end up dominating these sorts of things. But at the end of the day, it comes down to money, and our people have not put their money where the mouth is. What should we do to address that? Or should we just say, hey, this is kind of where we're at and just keep it moving? Mike, for you.
Now we have to address that, dog, man. Like we have to address that. I remember, I'm gonna take you guys back to Hip Hop Colony, right? There's a scene in Hip Hop Colony where Kama of Kalamashaka, he said this line, and it's always stuck in me. He said, we're addressing about how Kenyan music can become big, right? And why it's not as big, talking about the turmoils of the industry. And Kama was like, music is bigger. Music can be as big as coffee and tea in Kenya, right? And I'm filming this in 2003 to 2004. And he was thinking like that. He could see that. Having been in the industry for about, 10 years before that, he was able to see that if someone can invest in this, it could be as big as tea and coffee. Now, fast forward that to right now, and let's look at the deals people are getting. Let's look at Universal being in Africa, Sony being in Africa, people like Diamond. Look at how much money they're getting for advances. These dudes are getting millions, man. They're getting upwards of $3 million for a record deal. Think about that. Now do that in Kenya shillings. That's a record deal. Kama thought about that or said that statement in 2003. Because if we put money, if we looked at the music industry like that, as a business, as something that you can invest in, like a farm, like the way we love, Kenyans, we love, it's all about land and farm. If we had done that, if somebody had gone and said, I'm not buying an apartment, I'm not buying an apartment, let me go put money in bamboo, let me go put money in doobies, in nonini, let me put 100,000 US dollars, even 20,000 US dollars, today, those guys will be where P Square is. They will be where Diamond is and Bana Boy and beyond. Think about it, right? Because, okay, if you want to know, let's look at who came out back in the day. Let's talk about TopDonn. TopDonn was about those, he's one of the first Afrobeat people to come out, right? He's not a broke guy. He's doing well. He's still making music. He even had a deal with Kanye, right? So that's the difference. And now TopDonn right now is the people behind the music. His partner, Don Jazzy, he's literally the Dr. Dre of Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? He's a guy deciding who's coming out right now. He's a guy controlling the industry. Those moves we could have done in 2003, but East Africans, we don't see it like that. We don't understand entertainment business. We just know politics, shenanigans, drinking, all that shit, But for real, those are the moments we lost. Because you can feel I'm a bit bitter because I've been there chasing these people, asking for investment in the entertainment industry across the board. And they don't get it. People don't see it. I've had meetings with people. We've sat down, spend money to go have a meeting with someone. I'm thinking, okay, this guy is a millionaire. Maybe they're going to see the sense. Here's a proposal. Let's do this. And then they're like, But my counterparts in West Africa, they're moving, man. They're doing shows at the Hollywood Bowl. They're making moves. That's the difference. We need to start believing in ourselves because entertainment music is not going anywhere. That's why we are here talking about we are now in Billboard's award. Entertainment is not going anywhere. It's only going to get better. So the sooner we invest in it, the sooner we're part of these conversations, with these guys, But there's some positivity. We have some key people making moves. I can't wait for the world to hear what's coming up, but we people are making moves right now. People like you, Don, you're doing this right now. We're beginning to take ownership of this whole thing, which is good. Because this is the voice that was lacking before. People didn't think that we can connect and start becoming a voice. Because I think that's what we can do right now. We might not have the money, but we can help them to spend the money. And we can help them to bring that money to East Africa. We just have to keep talking and then talking.
I think the biggest disconnect there, Mike, is that first of all, you were talking about stuff that happened, 2003, 4, 5, 6, right? Those years, and that's all before social media. And the funniest thing that I find is that a lot of times people don't realize that these things had been done. Is if you talk what wanafanya, the big shows, what went around, dude, the pioneers of these things were Kenyans, ilikuwa ni wa Kenya. If you go back, Mike, if you go back to the videos that you have of the rugby event on the Queen Mary, until today, you'll be hard pressed to find events that have been done on that scale. This is 2004. You know what I mean? Yeah. So again, for me, it's like, okay, here we are. But, again, another discussion that we can talk ad nauseum about. But, I want to try to focus us on whether our counterparts from East Africa or from any other region, because, like we've said, when you term something as Afrobeats, automatically people are going to think Nigeria, a little bit of Ghana, but typically even the Ghanaians, if you watch them on YouTube, and I watch a lot of it, and a lot of their guys contact me as well and say, hey, we're having the same discussions you're having. Is like, where do we fit in this whole Afrobeat spy? So Slim, you're out, you see the vibe, you know what happens over the weekends, what's really touching in the clubs. Are they if you remove the Afrobeat aspect from it, is there space for other really big bangers from other parts of Africa to go under that umbrella?
100%. I keep on saying the hottest song that has ever come out from Africa was one song, Premier Gawo. You cannot tell me there's no other song that has ever reached the capacity of that song with. And those are the days before no YouTube, no nothing. Even the way I had Gawo, I think it was a CD that Mike, I don't know if Don, you're the one who had done that CD. I don't even know who had done that CD. That's my first time being in America. And I think it was Don or Nyandata had done that CD, and it had that song, Premier Gawo, right? I feel, especially in the French scene, in the Ghanaians themselves, I don't know about Sierra Leone and Liberia that much, their music, but also just looking at East Africa in general, I'm like, there's space for all of us, right? The challenge that we are having, which I'm going to go back to the first question that you asked as far as of, we're coming from a generation or even a background of arts were never supported by even our own parents, right? The farthest you could go as far as singing is in your church choir after drama festival. Am I lying or not? Nobody could support you for that. No, right? That's the background we're coming from, right? So you
and Mungano choir.
Even Kama saying about coffee and tea, those are things that have been from our great grandfathers, right? That's why it became big, right? But nobody saw art or took it arts as a very serious thing. So nobody took this thing seriously. So I can see that whereby nobody ever even invested in like Kina Kalamashaka, Kina Bamboo, right? I've always said the best group that ever came out of Kenya that had already were thinking outside of Kenya is the Logombas. I swear. Yeah. To me, if you ask me, they're already ahead of the game as far as of music-wise, how the beat should go. But I don't think none of us saw it as being outside of Kenya, and not even us, even the people who have the money. That's number one. Also, in addition, I feel right now it's one of those things. It's a wave that we should all let Nigeria ride that wave. Everybody needs to step back and let Nigeria ride that wave. You know why? Because remember at one point, we had it was only sukus being played left and right. And we had to let them ride that wave as much as possible, right? And I think the reason why even these conversations now are becoming a little bit more on our forefront is because we're seeing this music on our forefront now. It's on YouTube. Oh, we're not being represented. We're not being represented, right? After that, remember when it came to days of TKZ, and we were we came to days of TKZ, and then we've been a wave in Africa. We've been a wave. It's never been one place. So I feel the only thing I never understood how Ghana got left behind in that scene. I don't understand. It still doesn't click. And their neighbors. Well, Kenya and Tanzania, they move together, right? It's the same thing like Uganda. Sometimes I feel like Uganda is left behind, right? If you're not in that circle, you never even know. Mike, what's the hottest Ugandan song right now?
I wouldn't tell you.
Exactly, because you're not in that
we can ask Lawrence. He's here. He can tell us.
Right? But because I'm in that circle and I know people when I get the whole Ugandan vibe, right? So I feel like for right now, despite what it is sit back and watch that wave. It's the same way Jay-Z said when 50 Cent came up, right? Everybody had to sit back. Let 50 Cent ride that wave until it's done in the cloud, right? And then everybody can come releasing albums. That's my thinking as far as of this space for everybody. But I think in Africa, it's always gonna be waves. It's always gonna be waves up and down.
Don't quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Before I forget, 100% agree with you, Slim, and that's a good point. And that's what I'm saying. In my opinion, right now, that's why I'm pushing for these types of conversations right now, because we need to let our folks in other regions quickly learn from this, because when that wave dies, you're next. You got next. So let's start getting there. Let's start getting our music ready so that we can get the baton. We can get that. We can get that blend coming in. Those remixes. We are next up. Our music is unique. Once we figured, especially like East Africa for real. Once we figured out how to capture our love songs and in Swahili and translate that to a point where these guys understand the feeling of the music, it's a hit. It's a different ballgame altogether. Right now it's about rhythm. The Afrobeat rhythm is moving, right? But it's gonna get to a point when that's gonna happen. When that wave dies, now it's gonna be, we've already educated people enough about Africa. Now they want to discover more of Africa, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? Now that's when the next wave comes. Is the next wave gonna be East Africa? Because Amapiano is still in South Africa right now. That's South Africa. So what's the next wave? After we make people dance and break their knees and legs and hips, it's gonna be now. Let's chill down and make some loud music, and that's East African music right there. Sauti Souls, Diamond. I would say, we have people in Soul Generation. When those people start popping, people like on the Dimples, in TZ, so we have things lined up, but we just have to make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to be doing the right way.
Absolutely.
I have a counterpoint to that, because I think for some reason we keep thinking, based on history, that this wave the wave of Afrobeat is going to either die down and something else completely swamps it, or otherwise. But I think it was about a month ago, I was in Dallas, right? I was in Dallas, Texas. I went out to a place called Giddy Lounge. The guy that was on there was a DJ. He was 27 years old. I went up earlier before the night started. I just vibed him. Oh, okay, what's going on? Cool. And I just sat back, very, very rare. I just listening. So he played the current stuff, the usual stuff, your Essence, your whatever is playing. But then at the end of the night, the last 40 minutes, he went old school. And old school for him, so songs what he was playing when he was 17, right? The guy is 27 years old now, right? He's gone to some Bigiano songs, some old P-Square, some this and that. So for us talking about waves coming and going, Afrobeat already has had waves. They had waves where the biggest songs were Kina Karo, right? Karo is for DJs like me and you, Slim. Karo is 125 BPM, right? So very fast, right? Then you've got Ojueleba, Wizkid, it's 100 BPM, it's calm. You have If, which is 106 BPM. So you've got that wave of songs. Even Yemi Alade, Looking for My Johnny, right? That song is 120 BPM. Mm-hmm. So the diversity of music coming from from the Afrobeat culture in itself is already a wave. That's one. Secondly, look at the roster of artists that are there. You have your OGs, like Mike has talked about, your P-Square, your D'banj, artists like those. You have the current A-listers, Bana Boy, Davido, Wizkid. Then just behind them, and you look, these guys, every day there's a new guy coming up. There's this young guy called Ruja. Less than 6 months ago, no one knew who he was. But right now, the guy has produced 3 A1 smashes in a row. And if you move him aside, another guy comes. You move him aside, another guy comes.
Don, you're describing... Sorry, Don, to cut you short. But you see what you're doing?
No, go ahead.
You're describing the engine that they already have. That's what we don't have. And that's what I'm saying we need to be creating right now. You see what I'm saying? So, and those are the lessons I'm talking about. The reason why there's a lineup, guys are on deck, next on deck, right? Is because they have an outlet, which is what we've never had. We've never had an outlet. We don't have our own labels, man. These guys are cutting deals with labels. So now,
even Mike, even just to stop you right there. This, like the Kenyan, because I'm a Kenyan, I'm 100% Kenyan, right? Just like you guys, 100% Kenyan. I sat down and I dissected this in pieces, and
you're breaking up.
Slim's internet has gone on strike.
They don't want him to speak the truth.
Okay, we'll keep going while he sorts that out. So, true story, internet ilikata. Batendelea.
Willie. We didn't hear you, Willie.
Tukulipia internet.
Mafuta time.
Naweza kupiga shaft tu sahi.
But the one thing, nili dissect story, and I saw a comment there from Charity. Charity, we just need to support our own parts. There's a challenge here.
Yes, yeah, that's from one mic.
Yep, and I'll tell you why I came up with this concept. I have played at a Kenyan party. If you go to a Kenyan party, do you know how many types of music we listen in one night? Just tell me. Tukianzia to soul, mpaka somaliza kana blues, right? Reggae in one night. Kenyans only, right? Kila kitu. But
baka commercials, even TV ads.
Even TV ads. We do a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. We do all that. We do 90s hip hop and all that, right? Yeah. cross outside of Kenya, go to Uganda and play the same set. People at some point are gonna be like, what are you doing? What's this you're playing, right? Tanzania, I think, gets it a little bit just like us. But also, even when I look at West Africa, they only play their own songs from the jump, from Kitambo. Miss Day and a bash. I've never gone to a Nigerian bash. Hapo nasikia house music, also or reggae. They'll be like, my brother, I beg, get off the DJ booth. Like literally, right? So when I really was like, why are Kenyans like that? And Mike, I've talked to you about this. One thing we are not loyal to any type of one music. We are all over. We go through phases, right? And us going through phases, we'll only pay attention to our music for a little bit, and we are on to chronics. We are on to busy signal. Quick, right? But that's how we're ingrained from the time we were young, right? I've been at a wedding and I'm playing Kenny Rogers, and I see Africans looking at me, but all the Kenyan women are singing word by word, right? Because it reminds them of that, right? Actually, it was a wedding, Mike, you were there, and my mom were going crazy. And you sit down, you're like, people ask you, how do you know this music? I'm like, we grew up listening to this music. How about this music? We grew up listening to this music. So for us, even as Kenyans in general, we don't have that. How after Fire Boy, there's Joe Boy, we don't have that. We don't. Us is we're moving on to the next. What's next? What's hot? That's what we are going to. And that's why even TZ songs are famous in Kenya, because we don't have loyalty in music. So that's why it's very hard for us to support our own, and it's going to be a little bit of us challenging to grow Kenyan music, right? The only thing I think the only group we've been really 100% supportive to is Sauti Sol. I think so. That's the only thing we've carried with us in all this.
But Slim, you see, I'm coming. That's exactly why I said what I said, because they know how to capture those moments. They know how to capture moments that are authentically ours, right? They will do a video and take you back to Buruburu in 1985, right? How we saw our uncles and dads and those people leaving, right? They'll do a video that captures that scene that you remember growing up when you hepa school from boarding school. Unapita pale sizes, unapita pale Apo 680 hotel up in there, forget the name of that place, you know? They capture those moments, right? So they know how to do that. They've known how to capture those things, those visually appealing things to people. Mm-hmm. If we keep doing that, then it's going to turn. But when we make music that doesn't represent us, that's where we go wrong.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right, folks, if you're joining, this is Conversations with TopDonn. We are talking here about the soon-to-be AfroBeats chart that's going to debut on Billboard, on the Billboard magazine next week. March 29th, actually on Tuesday. I'm going to go to one comment here I think is quite introspective. Mr. Ali Badawi says, I think one reason why East Africa might be still lagging is because in TZ, for example, you have one star who has monopolized the limelight for over 10 years and has so dimmed other great talents that have not had a chance to grow. Nigerians at every moment during the growth of Afrobeats had more than one star at a time. Mike, thoughts?
I agree. I mean, it's true. Again, it's kind of like what Slima said. You know, Kenya is very uniquely placed in East Africa. You know, we're like the hub of everything. You know, people back in the day. I remember people used to call Kenya like the New York of East Africa or something like that. You know, there's a reason why Kenya is the way it is. You know, we've been popping before all these guys, right? So our culture has already been corrupted over the years. You know, guys, the way they live, we emulate a lot of the UK, a lot of America. Those other African countries somehow found it easy to hold on to what they had. You know, like TZ, for example, we cannot take it for lightly that they speak one language, Swahili, right? What Julius Nyerere did was important, so that helps, right? That's the same attitude in West Africa. You know, when the British came and chafued them and they bounced and they left them, these guys had their kingdoms and all that. They never changed who they are completely. In East Africa, we were turned inside out. We dressed like them, we spoke like them, we wanted to drink tea like them. We were completely done inside out. And that's what we see today, where we're easily influenced by that. In West Africa, they still hold on to those African traditions and it's easy for them to be influenced by these other things. They'll ball because they have the money, and because they've gone to Soma, they have degrees and whatnot. They've gone to Harvard, Princeton, and all those places, right? Oxford and all that. But they still have, when they change, they can wear a suit and wear the dashikis. And once they change, I beg you, it's their language 100%, right? In Kenya, what are we going to wear? T-shirts?
Kaunda suits.
Kaunda suit is TZ, my guy. Kaunda suit is TZ. Right?
TZ or Zambia. See,
Zambia, yes, that's Zambia, my guy.
Yeah, Zambia.
You see, that's not even ours. So us, we were done inside out. The Queen really did the scene, man. So, it will take time. So for me, what I'm saying right now, the only way that can change is to really have the machine behind it. Own the music, not just the artist. Be owners of the music. Create our own sound. Let the artist be the artist, and then let's become label owners. Let's become managers. Let's create a whole industry behind it. The next time an artist wants to come out, let's be there for them. Let's consult for them. Let's offer our services. Let's build a machine so that we can be. We shouldn't have an artist go negotiate his own deal, come and shoot their video, decide how that's too much. By the time you go back to the studio, you're tired, right? You're tired. You're not gonna know how to move your business forward, right? So that's what we need to start doing, and that's what Nigerians are doing right now. If you look at even someone like Diamond, he has a team behind him. He sticks to doing the music. Other guys are behind the cutting the deals, making sure things are moving. That's the machine we're talking about. If we do the same, and Sauti Sol has the same template, they have managers behind, they have people, they have a team. As much as they're the ones doing that, they have a team. They're very responsible. It's a business structure. Most artists in Kenya, I'm hungry, I need to hustle, let me go make a song, put it out there. Next thing I know, I'll be on a concert, and then I move on. Then, so there's no, whatever sustainability.
You see, the thing that, or at least one of the things that I was so glad about is the actual reporting structure for what the chart in itself is going to be, because we haven't even touched on it, right? Typically, a Billboard chart before digital sales used to be just all airplay, right? It would be an airplay chart based off of Nielsen ratings for which radio stations would actually report and have a playlist saying, I played XYZ songs X number of times. What's the hottest song in America? It is Drake, whatever song, right? Now, at least from judging from what Billboard themselves put out, it is primarily going to be driven by digital sales, right? So looking at the major streaming companies, Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, stuff like that, right? So for all the people that usually claim, we would support our people only if, well, here's your chance now, because Guess what? Come Tuesday or come the 29th next week, the rubber meets the road, because we will see what that chart actually looks like. Exactly. And if it looks like any of the things that we've seen, I was looking at this Spotify list called African Heat. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out that playlist. It's supposedly supposed to have the top 50 songs in the world or in the US, right? Because it's a US-based playlist. 45 of them are from one country. The other 5 are Amapiano songs. I've been monitoring the chart for about 3 months. I saw 1 month there was a song from Harmonize, and 1 month there was a song from Muthoni Drama Queen.
Nice.
So
nice.
if our people really want to go and support, because we know how the chart is going to look like, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, which of the songs that are out there right now can you say, oh my God, they're going to go? They'll as soon as the chart comes next week, like without looking at the chart, I can possibly guess that the number one song next Friday on that chart is going to be Peru. Without looking at it. So for us, right, people in our areas, do we even have a list of 5 that we can say, okay, this song needs to be on the chart? I don't think we do. Slim,
right now?
Right now. Slim might be able to correct me and say, okay, but now siniambie ile song inaitwa sijui Sipangwingwi. That one's not going to be on the chart.
No,
you talking about East Africa?
Yeah, East Africa, yes.
I don't think we do. Yeah, I don't think
right
we do.
now.
Yeah.
Unakika, there's no.
I don't see any song that's there's no East African song is going to be on that top 50 chart.
Well,
If there is,
don't.
tell me one. Maybe no, I'll take it back. Maybe Diamond's new tracks. Maybe his new album is
No,
actually his new EP is very good.
it's very good, but no, they haven't crossed over the way you think they've crossed over. Because I
Right.
can tell you all these things. To me when I see, this is how I know a song is gonna be on the chart, right? Especially when I'm DJing, right? A Jungu singing word by word. I'm in San Francisco jamming. I'm like, this song, it's not yours anymore. Bana Boy,
Right.
the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know.
But you
So
see,
yeah,
this
for
is our
me,
chart, though. That's the advantage here. The advantage here is that this is just African chart, right?
mm-hmm.
So it's not that it's all global. Oh, that's the other thing too. I'm excited about. At least we can say now we have our chart as opposed to Kitamo. They used to lump us together with world music, right? So that's
World
a
music, yes.
yeah. So
Yes,
that's a
it used to
good
be
thing. That
world
used
music,
to
whatever
piss
that
me off.
means.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that used to piss me off, because so right now we're looking at things like having legit awards. When you have those award shows, we'll now have a legit African thing, not and the world music award goes to, you're like, what?
No,
Are you putting Bana Boy with some, I don't know what music, some Pakistan music? It doesn't make sense, So at least now we'll have our own thing, So, but I think also that the other thing is if we play our cards right, don't like the way you're saying it's home ground, what we do with our people now, you know, Kenya, I think we have better internet than most people in Africa, right?
Yeah,
Most
you're right.
countries.
Yeah, you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a time now we can show our numbers because guys now, if they stream music and Safaricom is kind enough to give guys bundles, maybe that's the loophole right there.
And one thing I love about this everything starts with a conversation, right? Even things that we're seeing happening right now in politics. These are things MLK used to talk about, and Muhammad Ali they used to talk about because I see documentaries and movies, right? I think Don, thank you so much for even having us here because this is just a great convo in the just to help us. What is it called? To help us even push this thread because even you've made me start thinking about ideas and everything. How can each individual pull the thread on their own? Does that make sense? Right. So I think with the conversations it's good, but also I know one thing about even looking at West Africa, they have numbers. Right. So even when Ali said that comment of one person in East Africa uh, monopolizing, and I looked at it and I was like, wait, Ugandans people don't even listen to bongo music. It's only Kenyans. Does that make sense? And we are all right. Tell me one Habeshan person who's ever told you, oh yeah, I like this Kenyan song. Tell me one Habeshan person who can, unless they grew up in Kenya. They're not too
Yeah.
far away
it's
from us, right?
hard, right?
But when we come to when you see Nigeria, and then the one advantage that they have is also Ghana, and Ghana has everybody's attention in the whole, especially Americans. Everybody wants to go to Ghana, right? That attention kind of helps so much, I believe so. And Manaijo are a whole different breed at Tokyo Club. They speak their mind.
Nigerians they're loud. They're loud.
Hey,
And
they spend money.
We're very laid back.
They're very proud. Yeah. As we're very, like I said last time, we're very chill. It's okay. And that too, it's okay. And it's okay. Let me kunya my kabia here. I'm good. You go. But then obviously you're right. It affects us because these opportunities miss us. And then the industry doesn't grow. And then we come back and complain and talk about these kind of things, For me, at the end of the day is, I think we shouldn't look at it like competing. We should look at it like contributing to build that music culture of Africa, because when
100%.
as an artist, my market is the world. There's more people in the world than in Africa. Yes, we have a billion plus people in Africa, but there's 7 billion, 6 billion people in the world, right? So at the end of the day, if we can add on to that, those numbers add up. And that's how we need to look at it. We shouldn't look at it like competing with West Africans. We're going to lose that game. Mm-hmm. But what we can look at it is latching onto that and taking what they're doing at that big level and scaling it down to our version of this and doing it so that at some point down the line, we'll offer quality as much or even better than them. And then now the world can decide, right? When you start having options, now you can say, okay, I don't want to dance. My knees are hurting. I don't want to do amapiano, right? Or I've listened to all the West African music, I'm tapped out. Now let me go listen to some nice Swahili, music that I can write to, I can chill to in a Saturday, in a Sunday afternoon. That's what I want to do. So we have to sell those kind of things. We have to sell our culture in that way. We shouldn't sell our culture like Nigerians, because that's a Nigerian thing. There's no way a Kenyan is going to go and act like a Nigerian. It's not going to work.
That's
It's the
not
same way we normally say, there's no way as Kenyans we can't act like we're hard people, like we're in Brooklyn and our hip hop is gangster and we're like, what? It doesn't make sense, man. Right? We don't live that life. So we cannot fake we're from New York. No, we're Kenyans. Let's capture our environment, write music that captures that so that we can connect with the other person, and then it blows up. And I'm speaking visually here now, like as a producer, director, whatever. Those visuals speak volumes, right? They move images. That's why we do advertisements. It's 30 seconds, but it makes you go buy something, right? If you capture the image nicely. And that's what we need to start doing, capturing our music, the essence of our music, so that people now can be like, I like that. That's different. I'm familiar with this. This is dope. I'm in San Francisco jamming Peru, but yo, this is nice. This is different. This one is speaking to something else inside of me. That's what we need to do now.
I don't know if
I'm going to read off some comments real quick here.
Yeah,
I got one from my sister, Joanne, my Ugandan sister. She says, we lack confidence, most especially when it comes to music and culture. That is from Jojo Kanyongo, Uganda.
I agree.
Based.
That one I agree. 100% I agree.
My brother Tucha says Nigerian peeps made the music popular worldwide. We like to put it on the artist, but we as listeners, DJs, etc., are not doing our part to the fullest. Our content is not an excuse anymore. I don't think that's what he says. I don't know. I mean, that's another long story.
Yeah.
But I want to touch on something, Slim, you talked about here real quick, Paul. You talked about Nigerians have the population.
Yes.
And a lot of people lean on that. To me, a lot of people tend to lean on that as a crutch and say that wakona watu wengi, that's why they get people to do they've got bigger numbers. Not necessarily. And I'll give you concrete examples why. Look at Wizkid's shows that he had at the O2 Arena, right? 3 days, all sold out. A 20,000-seat arena, which even most mainstream artists have never done, let alone selling it out one time. 3 in a row. They live streamed all 3 days of it, right? And when they're live streaming it, you obviously you'll see the people inside. There are not 20,000 Nigerians in there. It was people from every walk of life on every single day. That's one. Look at this past week, and Mike, we spoke about it offline. Bana Boy sold out 4 arenas 4 consecutive days in 4 different countries. I believe he was in Switzerland. He was then in Dublin. He was in Manchester and then in Paris at the Arco Arena for the second time in 4 months. Dude, second time in 4 months. He was there in November. He sold it out. They said, come back. He was there again this past Monday. Those people in the crowd are not Nigerians. So there's something that they have done that has translated across the board. Whether we like it or not, there's something that they've done. And you were touching it earlier, Slim, saying we need to look at it and say, what have they done? So just your response.
Don, I was going to say, the reason I was talking about numbers, before Wiz got to the O2 arenas, who was going for all these shows?
Africans.
Us, Africans. Yep.
Africans, right? But also even before he blew up in Africa, it was Nigerians, correct? But also when you look at it, USA only, who are the majority of Africans? In each and every corner you turn, it's right. That's what I was talking about as the numbers, right? So for them, they carried it from the start until now. Okay, here, world, go ahead and have it. Does that make sense? And that's why everything else, like this song, Jerusalem, I keep on asking myself, what's the big deal about this song? Do people even know it's from South Africa? Do you think people know that it's from South Africa? It's the dance.
Probably not.
It's the dance. It's not the song.
It's the dance, yep.
Bam, bam, bam. It's the cha-cha thing, right? Does that make sense? That's where I was coming from as far as the numbers, right? So even for us, I feel
Bundles.
My internet was down for learning.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. but to me that was my point as far as of the numbers. It's something to do with it's the groundwork. It's the roots. The roots had numbers already. But now when it comes
Right.
to Kenyan music or bongo, we don't have the numbers. Like to a point, if we had those numbers, Nameless would be a very big artist right now. Am I lying or not?
Oh,
Logombas would have
totally.
been, if we had those numbers,
Oh,
if
yeah.
Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya were all pushing this one song, right? TID, we would be untouchable right now. Am I lying or not? That's how I looked at it
Oh,
as far as the numbers. But we did not have those groundworks numbers because even like literally, I look at everything as an East Africa. I'm like, there's nothing wrong. I think the Kenyan music, the production is the best. It's so dope. I just feel like it's the timing. And music is a wave. That's why I said this is a wave that we all have to ride. Sasa hivi wa Kenya na produce mangoma, ni ngoma tamu sana ukizisikiza. Ni ngoma deadly sana. The lyrics and everything, right? For the first time, I sat down and listened to Calligraph Jones from the beginning to the end of quite so many songs. I was like, damn, homeboy is really super talented, right? But right now, the wave we are on right now, we just have to ride that wave until our time gets here.
yeah, good counterpoint. Let me read one or two more
Sure.
comments here. I've got one from Gilbert Byron. My brother, how are you? He says, the Nigerian numbers is not the issue, it's the sound. Our content is lacking. We need to come up with our own sound. Fantastic point. Brian Dub, B-Dub, VP, maybe the production of music is where they are ahead and sticking to the origins of Afrobeat and not trying to copy others, as Mike has said. Tusha says Kenyans are influential. Even Niger parties push and market to Kenyans to attend. So we do have a voice, but we just need to demand for more of our music. Do our part just like West Africans do in clubs and where they demand for Afrobeat to play it. I could not agree more. That is a great point.
Good point.
Mike, you want to chime in?
No, totally agree, man. I don't know what else I can say, other than agree with Slim. See, this wave is good. Again, just maybe reiterating what I said earlier. It's more like study what these guys have done, encourage my East African folks to tap into some wise old heads like you guys in the game, especially in the diaspora where the dollar is bigger than the Kenya shillings, where people numbers here transfer, they go far, right? You know what I'm saying? Like in Kenya, before you get
Say it
five
louder
people,
again. Say it louder because they tend not to hear. When I say it, they think it's just this. Say it louder again. Ebu, just repeat what you said.
I'll repeat it. I'll say, like honestly, right now, I think where we are, even the reason why we're having this conversation right now in the diaspora as diasporans is because we've had some experience, right? You guys are clearly in the forefront of all this. You've helped Nigerians get to where they are. Because you guys are every Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mko club party, you're pushing the music, you've done events, you've been on radio, you've played for NBA, you've been in the industry, right? Outside of Kenya, outside of Africa. You guys carry the mantle. Slim, right now, literally, you're doing that. This weekend, you're doing something for Nigerians, for the culture. These big labels are in Africa right now. The problem is, they don't see people like us. They don't see you guys. They don't see guys who've been in the game. People who understand the music industry. People already, we work for companies like them. Like we already contribute our 9 to 5s for some of these companies, right? That's how some of us make our forte. But it doesn't translate to our people and they don't see the value in that. So sometimes when we give advice, they think you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Or sometimes they don't look at it like, you know what, let me see if I can pitch myself to this guy to see whether he can invest or he can be a manager. So it's about time people start looking at things like that. Because
can I ask Don something?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, go ahead, man.
Don, you have worked on radio and everything, do you feel like your politeness has gone against you? Your politeness,
I don't.
in the sense of, I'll tell you what.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Right. Your politeness in the sense of, because that's one thing I feel like has gone against me. I'm not the type of person to be like, yo, what's up? This is what is going on. Blah, 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 blah. Or trying to reach out to all these labels. Hey, I can do that, right? I'm the type of like my work will speak on its own, right? Slim will get on, right? But also at the same time, I'll see somebody else who's under me is the one who's getting the shine. And I'm like, wait, what? Bro, I built this for you. But understanding going there and selling it, something that is not even there, and then booking me and bringing me along.
Timing, especially from a radio perspective, timing is everything. We had this conversation one time. I believe B-Dub was around when you guys came for the marathon the last time. And we were talking about being when I was on XM Radio.
A-Dub, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A-Dub was around. Yes, it was A-Dub. It was A-Dub. Mm-hmm. And we were like talking about being on XM Radio. And at that point, I don't think he knew that I'd been on. Then we're like, oh, yeah, we were on satellite radio, this and that, talking. And timing is everything, because if it was then, now, I kid you not, it would be your Namelesses, your Juakalis, those artists who would have been on top. Before this show began, I went and pulled out, because I had to give playlists of like kind of what I was putting in the mix every Friday. And then we had a chart show. Speaking of chart shows, we would chart. It took 2.5 years before I ever charted a Nigerian song. And the first Nigerian song to chart was D'banj Fall in Love, because it was huge. So you see that curve, but when that curve began and then changed, so I started charting once in a while, D'banj, Dumi, Kidogo Kidogo, it's Bigiano, Kidogo what? Then you look at the chart and you're like, oh my God, it's all Afrobeat. And by the way, it wasn't a personal choice. This was just because there was no reporting structure other than what I would see in the club at Aphrodisiac or what I would play on radio. So I was being as objective as possible, which I do till today. People might think that I'm going to be biased because I'm Kenyan. I don't need to be biased. I just call it as it is. Mm-hmm. So, you ask a good question, Slim. I think it's timing, like you've said. Things would have been different. Mm-hmm. Even then, Mike, when we spoke offline, I said that, I was in a club the other day. And, when the DJ played, the club was 90% white people, 10% us, people that look like me. I went in and, they're playing regular R&B and hip hop. Then they started playing a few Afrobeat songs, Joanna, Fall. So you're thinking, is it going to play your prototypical 4 songs and then be done? And then, no. But he played a set, dude, Slim, 90 minutes. Nani wazungu wako ndani. But then at the end of his set, he played CK, Love Nwantiti, right? Yeah. And I'm listening to that song and I'm like, I'm not hating on the song, but there's no difference from the production value from songs that were in the Kenyan scene in 2005, 100%. 2006. 100%. There's no difference, literally none. Mm-hmm. So it is all timing. So sometimes that is frustrating, as you've mentioned. But I mean, we can't sit here and just be like, okay, well, too bad the time came and passed. We need to tell people that this happened. A lot of lack of social media from the days when we were doing this plays against us. That's the biggest thing, honestly, Slim, is that a lot of people, even the newer artists, they will never know that you were doing stuff in SF from way back. They may not even know who you are, which to me is crazy. How can you not? Even Mike, the stuff Mike was doing, I went on the Black Medley YouTube page yesterday and I looked at the quality of stuff 9 years ago, 9. And it's not because Mike is my buddy. I told him, dude, I'm frustrated and angry because look, kulikuwa na template. Watu wamekamba wakaangalia template wakaenda nayo. Shwap, gone.
And I'll give you a story on that, man. We did, we're in Nigeria shooting this project about basketball in Africa. And which was, it ended up being the case study, so to speak, for what we have now, BAL in Africa, right? This was like the precursor to all that. So the, fact findings and stuff like that, just activating people to the whole idea of a NBA type league in Africa, right? So we traveled to 8 countries in Africa doing this. And then we go to Nigeria and we got a chance to interview this guy, who works for one of the clubs there called TopDonn Warriors basketball team. And this team operates like an NBA team. Like they have a nutritionist, in addition to the coaching staff. Like these guys are organized. They take it seriously, right? They had a nutritionist, they had down the line back to a marketing manager. So we had a chance to talk to the marketing manager, how do you guys promote your league and all this stuff. So this guy tells us the reason why like the basketball scene is a big deal, because a Nigerian basketball league is actually a big deal, right? It's kama ya Kenya, you're Kenya. So you're playing in you're playing basketball at sijui kwa field ya boarding school fulani hapo watu wakienda chuo wakitoka wakienda home. So this guy is actually playing in arenas, stadiums, and all that, and it's very well organized, right? And the winner takes like $1 million to go home. Anyway, so this guy goes. The reason why he was telling us the reason why the league started blowing up in Nigeria is because they looked at what the music industry was doing and how successful it was, and they added that value to this basketball thing, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
they went purposely and said, "This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go get this corporate money and put it in this thing and make this thing the biggest thing. Take ads, do what, pump money in this." So purposefully doing that, not taking the money and then eating and buying cars and buying land. No, they took the money, for real. They took the money, put it back in the industry, and then now today the industry is actually generating money for itself. And he said in Nigeria, they were like, these are guys who go to Premier League on a weekend and come back, right? So they already knew kuna watu wako na do. The same way right now, if I go to Kenya on a weekend, kuna watu wako na do. These guys are going to be in the bathroom Friday till Sunday, right? Spending money, eating nyama, booze, dancing, and all that stuff. Those guys are there. We just need to know how to speak to them and for them to see the value in this. Corporate companies still is there in Kenya. I see them advertising and putting money on some events here and there. So that means the same companies, they need to be convinced that, oh, guess what? If you invest in this industry, in this music label, in this thing can work. So that's the lesson there. Big time. Understanding what these guys are doing and bringing it down to the scale ile tuko nayo hapa chini. We do it, duplicate it, and then we see it going back up. If we do that, it's a wrap. If we hold those labels, the labels in Africa right now, if we hold them accountable to push our music, all this is going to work. We're going to be next on that wave that we talk about, Slim.
Man, I sure hope so, man. I sure hope so. So we are actually 15 minutes over time because we've been enjoying so much.
Was good.
But conversation imechacha ikomoto. Komoto sana. Slim, last couple of words. What I mean, other than what we've discussed here, what's the thing you're looking most forward to with the chart coming out?
I think I would say just probably more. To me, it's more of what I'm looking forward is seeing other countries that are really unknown being on this chart. I think that's one thing I look forward to, but also as part of the music that is going to be there. Because one thing also, I don't believe in charts. Another thing, because also in the hip hop scene, let me tell you, in the hip hop scene, I used to see top 20 charts, and this song, if I play them at certain class, people just like, "What's this you're playing?" It's in the charts, right? So that's sometimes true. I've always felt the charts are also designed for certain people, right? Now, am I playing in the wrong places or the right places? It can be either or, right? But I just let me look at it on a positive side. I feel like it's going to open much more doors, and who knows? That as Steve Jobs says, the dots will always connect. Let me put it that way: the dots will always connect. So that's what I'm looking for.
Mike, for you, what's the one thing you're most looking forward to?
Just having, I guess, for once, living, being out on this side of the world, having another good reason to give when we're pitching to people about selling our culture, about Africa, because now I can say, yo, this is who we are. This is us, And I know it's AfroBeats, but to me, like I said, it's more like, how do I contribute to that? And how do I latch onto that train for everything else? So now we can say, we here, Africa is here. I'm going to be very unapologetically African right now. Like kiddos are already, they feel like they own the culture. I was just telling Don there, in the morning, earlier, how my daughter she goes for cheer, and she walked in there, and in this big hall, she had Peru playing, and she was like, why are these people dancing? This is not their music. And she felt like she owned it. She's like, what do you mean, Dad? They were dancing to Peru. I was like, no, that's what we want. So it's for me, I like that because it puts me in conversations with people who now they don't have to say, they'll know Africa matters. That's how I'm looking at it. there's more to come. This is just one, So as a guy of media, visual, now it's African movies. Now it's African movies in mainstream America. There's Africa TV. We have Abiola on ABC. So this is going to be addition to all that. Now we can, people like us who help license music to movies and documentaries. It's easy now for me to come in and say, yo, let's place these movies, these songs. It's easier. It just makes it easier for people like us who are in the fringes of the industry, down there, just to operate in. So I'm happy for it, And the lesson, again, I keep repeating is our folks in East Africa learn from what's happening. If you can get collabos with Nigerians right now, because that's the machine, and then jump off and then see what happens, because that's exactly what they did. That's what Rick Ross did for the industry, and then down the line, Chris Brown went back, and now we have Justin Bieber. So the same thing can happen, and Diamond has been doing that, So
he's been doing a good job on that one. Actually, he's been doing a good job on tapping in everybody.
Yeah. Did you guys watch his? Did you guys by any chance watch his album video release yesterday?
No, I didn't. I missed that.
Yeah, it was streaming on Wasafi TV. If you get a chance, go and watch it. Like you're saying, Slim, you can see the growth of the artist. He was very, very, very well spoken. The Swahili was a little bit conk for me, but still, it was okay.
I'm laughing.
I was floating kiasi. I was like, "Hey, dude."
I'm laughing because of the meme that has been going around. I'm 31st years old.
Oh, Ilya, I'm 31st. By the way, I was 31st yesterday.
Oh my
I'm
God.
not going to give my true age, but in liquid 31st too.
That's funny.
I'm going to read up a couple of few comments again before we go. Again, guys, thanks for watching so much. This is Conversations with TopDonn. We do these shows for you. If you guys have ideas of who we should bring on the panel, tafadhali, let me know. So it's good. I saw Doro, yuko ndani ya nyumba. Doro, how are you? This is a comment from Ali Badawi. Mike, I watched the basketball documentary you did, which I think Stella Kwambox was doing the documentary. That stuff was ahead of its time. And I'll tell you again, Mike, not just because you're here, but it's true.
Appreciate you, dog.
That's the. I've told you many times on the outside, not just the stuff you were doing, just the whole concept, having the team. That stuff was ahead of its time, bro. Trust me. Kenyans need to stop thinking of Maploti and real estate as the only vehicles for investment. Iyo ni show, by the way, Ali Badawi. Yeah, Tusha says we need to take the snubbing personally and go back to days of Isa when it was Kenya music first. Absolutely agree. Doro, do we have music writers in Kenya? Does anyone just randomly come up singing the content like Diana B? Woo-wee, hey, kind of worms. I think the industry needs some kind of order to thrive. Could not agree more. Mike, to your point when you're talking about people that own the culture, I think as we wrap up, about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, I was driving in my moti and just like going through stations. You know the way you've programmed stations here and there. So the two in the car, the two top buttons are the urban stations we have here. Power 92, where I used to be, 107.5, and the third one is Kiss 103, Joya Watoi. So I put on Kiss 103, and I'm seeing CK Love Nwantiti. Now here's what you have to keep in mind. Kiss 103 is not an urban station. It's not for people that look like us. Ni station ya wazungu. I almost drove off the highway. I'm like, it absolutely blew my mind. Yes, it was a top 40. Like top 40, okay, this is not just the program director at that station has no freaking idea what Afrobeat is. He may have an idea now, but he's like, somehow, some way, that song got onto his list, and he's like, you know what? I have to playlist this song.
Don.
So happened to Mafika, and that's what makes me excited, because I'm like, those songs, yes, exactly. Those songs have crossed over. They're not Afrobeat songs, they are pop culture. Yeah. And that's the difference. And that's what gets me excited, because Journey Meanza, Journey Jaisha, there are very many people who, there's blocks that as we've talked about, there were very many blocks that got to this point. But when we got here now, we won't sit back and be like, we're done. No, the journey has just begun. And that's why I'm so excited.
Yeah,
So excited
You're right.
to
You're
see
right.
what this has for us. So, with that, guys, we are almost an hour and a half into this. Guys, I want to thank the panel for taking time out of their day. I know everybody is busy. Mike, thank you so much. Came straight from work. Slim yourself. These are my West Coast brothers. I mean, still early for us, guys. We're trying to catch March Madness. So it's time to get back. We will be here hopefully next week. Again, folks, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. You can support the channel by pounding on that subscribe button and then sharing the link as well. Don't be stingy. Share with your buddies. Come on, man. Watch a user. Folks, we are done. DJ TopDonn signing out on behalf of the panel. Thank you so much. See you next time. Peace.
True story. Sir.